Welcome to Hood Champion Boxing and Sports. In boxing, you find a way to win or you find a way to lose. Hey, look, man, Claressa Shields. While I'm talking to y'all, let me do something here real quick. I'm telling you, I'm surprised to see how many people out here, they've totally turned their back on Claressa Shields. And, I think she got to take a look at herself, you know what I'm saying? And when I'm talking to you, I'm adjusting these settings on these sounds because I don't want this thing to be too loud. Okay, looks like everything is working just fine, so looks like we're good to go. Now this is the thing. Oh man, there's some people who really turned their back on Claressa Shields. There's some people who are diehard Claressa Shields supporters. Die hard, man. But they're like, nah. The trash talk, being negative, kicking Shadasia while she's down. They're like, nope. They're like, we can't do it. And these are people who would, faithfully come to my channel and defend Claressa and argue on her behalf. And they came to me and they were texting me and shit. And I got, on my Instagram, I counted it was 113 messages. Now, of course, I don't be on Instagram like that. Everybody know that shit. So I didn't go live last night because I was tired. I just chilled with my boys. And when I was laying down, I went on there and I was like, whoa, it's all these messages. And I was surprised that, there was all kind of shit, but a lot of them were just saying, hey, we can't support her anymore. And they specifically talked about this right here. This right here is what they were talking about.
I'm praying for Shadasia. And I'm glad that none of the girls got hurt really bad tonight. Everybody can go back home to their families. Absolutely. Absolutely. I ain't that. I ain't like that. But I'm just telling y'all, there's levels to the shit. And stop saying that women and these girls is on my motherfucking level when they ain't. Motherfuckers talking about Shadasia can knock me out. She's got knocked out by a girl who I literally destroyed. This girl thought she was getting jumped inside the ring when she was fighting me. Lonnie said she thought she was getting jumped when we was fighting. She said she didn't know where my punches was coming from. She didn't know where they were coming from. I was kicking that ass. And had my shoulders not been how they was messed up. But now we sitting here trying to give motherfuckers a pass. Mm-hmm.
Now, when I first listened to that, I don't think nothing of it except that's just Claressa being Claressa. You know what I'm saying? Sounded like she was trying to clean some things up a bit, but this is the problem. I didn't even pay attention to it. What they were saying in some of the messages. How can she talk about she's praying for Shadasia, but then in the same breath start talking about mother effer and this and that. And so I'm gonna play it again, right? Because I don't listen to the shit like that. I play it and I'm just like, whatever. But I know people break this stuff down. So I'm gonna play it again and let's understand what happens here.
I'm praying for Shadasia.
I'm praying for Shadasia. That's good, right? That's good.
And I'm glad that none of the girls got hurt really bad tonight. Everybody can go back home to their families.
Right there. That to me is perfect. I'm praying for Shadasia. Glad no one got hurt. Go on back home to your families. Prayers for everybody. And be done with it. This little short 3 seconds to me is perfect. Say that and don't say anything else. This is where it goes wrong.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I ain't that. I ain't like that. But
I ain't like that. I mean, saying like I'm not that much of a beast to where I'm gonna be happy to see somebody get hurt, even though you came in here celebrating when you seen Shadasia go out on the stretcher. Then she hits you with the transition, but
I'm just telling y'all, there's levels to the shit.
And this is what people are saying. They're like, yo, she just sat here and said prayers and don't want to see no one get hurt. Then she comes, but there's levels to this shit.
Stop saying that women and these girls is on my motherfucking level.
On my M and F'ing level. Just talked about prayers, and now you're here talking about M and F'ing level and all the profanity and all the bullcrap that normally comes with Claressa Shields.
When they ain't. All y'all motherfuckers talking about Shadasia can knock me out. She got knocked out by a girl who I literally destroyed. This girl thought she was getting jumped inside the ring when she was fighting me. Lonnie said she thought she was getting jumped when we was fighting. She said she didn't know where my punches was coming from. She didn't know where they were coming from. I was kicking that ass. And had my shoulders not been how they was messed up.
And if my shoulders haven't worked, my shoulders hadn't been messed up, this is where I thought she'd say I would have knocked her ass out. But watch this. She doesn't say that. She just skips over it. This shit had me cracking up.
My shoulders not been how they was messed up. But now we sitting here trying to.
So why she skip over that part? That's what I want to know.
Messed up. But from. I was kicking that ass. And had my shoulders not been how they was messed up. But now we sitting here trying to give motherfuckers a pass.
You see, this is the problem, man. Claressa Shields' public image, it ain't never going to get any better. Now, I did this thumbnail here. So let me see. I pull this over. I don't want to do that. Let's see if I can pull this over. Okay, let me do something here. All right, there. This sums it up. You got Hood Champion here. Claressa, you missed an opportunity to erase most of the negativity and hate that surrounds you. Come on, Hood, how am I wrong for talking trash? They would have said worse about me. She got the Corvette keys chilling. I got my pet parrot. Like, yo, don't take it to the stupid. Now, when you just look at this image here, this sums it all up. You know what I'm saying? Now, some people like when I'm on camera, others don't. So I'll put the camera back on for y'all. Okay? But this is what happened here, man, you know, because you had two central figures, Claressa Shields and Shadasia Green, right? Claressa Shields, widely regarded as one of the most decorated fighters in women's history. We all know that because we watch her fight, and she tells you that. Then you got Shadasia Green, a rising fighter who we really felt was going to do the business against Lanai, who's not a knockout artist. And she's been kind of navigating her way through competition and some personal adversity. But Shadasia got in that ring, and it didn't go the way most of us expected it to go. Matter of fact, nobody did. That was like a Mike Tyson, Buster Douglas moment. But what Claressa Shields did, it wasn't just another passing comment that she makes from time to time about people, about fans. It wasn't just routine boxer trash talk. This moment stood out. You know what I'm saying? And it stood out because it intersected with vulnerability. It happened in a sport where respect is often as valued as dominance, and it gave a champion a choice in how to respond. Claressa had the opportunity of a lifetime. She really did. She had the opportunity to hit a grand slam. Boy, and get people out here to erase most, not all, but most of the negativity and hate that surrounds her. But she fumbled the goddamn ball. Okay? You got to understand, it's not just what was said, it's what could have been said instead. And that rhymed. I wasn't trying to rhyme. It'd be papoose, pat, broop. Now the fork in the road. At that moment, Shadasia Green collapsed on the stool. The stretcher was brought in. There were two paths. Two very, very clear paths. Path one is where I think Claressa should have gone. Now, she can do what she wants. And she did. And now she is in the situation she's in. She could have chose path one, which is elevation. Acknowledge Shadasia's struggle, offer some encouragement, reinforce the idea of growth, resilience, and be positive. Path 2 was separation. Reinforce the hierarchy that, you know what, I'm levels above these women, these B words. I'm okay, you're not okay. Aha, look at Shadasia. Right? Reject the comparisons. How dare you all even suggest that she could have knocked me out or would have been competitive in a fight with me. Look at what Lanny did. Know what I would have done to her? And focus inward on her personal greatness. I've been telling y'all forever. When y'all gonna realize there's levels to this? She took the moment where she could have hit a grand slam and regain some fans. Not all, because that whole thing with her being with the married man shit. I hear the ladies. They ain't never gonna forget about that. And some don't care what she does. They ain't never gonna like her. But instead of her coming out here and taking path 1 elevation, she chose to continue pushing separation. Now, what made this moment resonate is that many viewers felt the second path was taken, like I said, and at a time when the first might have carried a lot more weight, but she doesn't think along those lines, you know what I'm saying? And you gotta, for me, it's like I try to understand boxing culture versus the human moments. Boxing has always thrived on confidence, even ego. We know that. Fighters like Muhammad Ali, may rest in peace, Floyd Mayweather. You know, they built careers not just on skill, but on bold declarations. You know, but here's the difference. Here is the difference. That's why I get frustrated when she starts talking about Muhammad Ali, he talked trash, Floyd Mayweather talked trash, and why I can't do it. When they talk about those two individuals, their most celebrated moments often balance showmanship and awareness. Claressa, she does not display any showmanship with any awareness. Their shit was balanced. They had awareness, they had showmanship. They knew when to sell a fight and when to show humanity. Claressa doesn't know when to do anything that is remotely close to showing being humble and being human. So I had to ask the question, was this a promotional moment or a personal one? Because fans tend to judge those very differently. And for me, I thought that was personal. I actually think Claressa's lashing out because Remy Ma did that diss record. She's so frustrated, so embarrassed that a lot of what came out of her is just the frustration she feels as a result of just, you know, all the scrutiny and pressure from the fans, not just for the Remy diss track, but that she's been receiving because she's with a married man, you know what I'm saying? So with that being said, when you talk about confidence, you talk about competitiveness, I try to understand how it's received, because there's a fine line, right? Confidence is expected in boxing. It's part of the DNA in the sport. You can't be a nice guy, really. You know what I'm saying? Some people are, but you got to have a little chippiness towards you. Even Manny Pacquiao. You think Pacquiao, if you keep messing with Pacquiao, he's going to sit there and just keep being nice and smiling and showing all 32 of them Filipino teeth? Pacquiao can put the bing-bings on you, right? So we understand when it comes to fighters, there's a certain confidence, a certain way they move. But perception changes based on timing, your tone, and who you target. There's a difference between no one can beat me and this person shouldn't even be compared to me. The first builds you up. The second feels like it pushes someone else's down. And that's what Claressa's good at. Breaking everyone down, creating divide. And, you know, as a result, most people don't like her. But this moment felt different. To many viewers, the reaction didn't land as motivational, competitive hype. Nah, it was her being what I call dog nasty. Dog nasty. Being dismissive, poorly timed, insensitive, lacking empathy. It was all bad. And that doesn't necessarily define intent, but it absolutely shapes the impact, because the impact it had was very negative. And when you look at social media, and when you have Claressa Shields, people who, she has the quoties, she has followers. They wake up every morning, they don't floss and brush their teeth or wash their ass, they eat Cinnamon Toast Crunch and jump on the internet, and they start to defend Claressa, right? Just like people come on here and they don't do that and they attack her, she has quoties that defend her. But when you have quoties that put down the Cinnamon Toast Crunch, and they come out here and say, we can't support her anymore. We've been delivered. We now realize we are here supporting a lost cause. I tell you what, man. Every comment becomes a clip. Every clip becomes a narrative. Every narrative becomes a repetition marker. And that's what's happened with Claressa Shields. So even a short response can turn into debate threads, reaction videos, long-term perception shifts. And once a narrative forms, it's hard to undo. And Claressa Shields has a narrative that's formed around her that is, I don't think it can be undone, especially after her coming out here this weekend and kicking someone down. She was kicking someone down who was on an effing stretcher. That's crazy. And this wasn't just anyone. This is someone she's known since they were young girls. And someone who they went and had a conversation, little lady put the past behind them, and were looking to make a big fight. And she still, because of that cold, callous heart of hers, she just could not come out here and just for 1 second be human towards what's supposed to be, quote unquote, I would say a friend. This is a boxer. You a fighter. Deontay Wilder talks about all the time, putting their lives on the line. He even got emotional talking about Pritchard Cologne. You know what I'm saying? When you see a fighter collapse on a stool, that ain't the time to laugh, but you want to celebrate. I expect the fans to be stupid. But the boxers, I don't expect them to act like that, especially her. So that's why when I hear people out here saying, yo, we used to support her, now we hate her. I'm like, damn, she turned off the Gwodies. You know, she just become more and more interesting to me, but I don't expect nothing good from Claressa. That's just me, man. I have no hope for her. She just don't give a shit. Until she take accountability, she always gonna be in this mess. It'll be 20 years down the road. I'll be what, 70 then? She'll be like 51. I'll probably still be somewhere doing videos and shit and talking about, I told y'all. And she still be like, man, please, that's bullshit. I'm 50 years old. You 70 years old still talking about me, hit champion man? I'll be like, hey, you still running your goddamn mouth, giving me content. You know what I'm saying? Polarization, the double-edged sword. Claressa Shields has something many fighters don't, a polarizing presence. And that does bring strong supporters who admire her confidence, and it brings critics who feel turned off by her delivery, by her tone, just by her just being here, her existence. And moments like this don't create that divide, they amplify it. Now you're talking about fan reaction, talk about the legacy and the likability factor. It's two types of fans, man. You got the hardcore boxing fans. You know, most of them are focused on skill, record, dominance, likely to defend elite fighters regardless of personality. Then you got the casual fans, connect more with personality and relatability, more influenced by moments like this. But tension builds, right? And a fighter can be universally respected, skill and demeanor, or they can be respected but debated, skill and polarizing presence. The conversation around Claressa Shields often lives in that second category, being respected but debated. And now, after this weekend, she's not even being respected by most people. They just don't like her. Like, what she did this weekend, for a lot of people, they're like, well, that just showed me that I was wrong to even think that there was an ounce of good in her and she's doing things just to go viral. No, at her core, she's a rotten apple. That's what it's saying. She's, at her core, is a rotten apple. Because for her to do that to another boxer, this wasn't just some troll like the lady who was trolling her and came in the gym and Claressa beat her ass. Most people understood that. That's what the troll had coming to her. But they understood Claressa if Shadasia would have just lost the fight, got knocked out. They would have understood Claressa talking trash. I would have understood that too. I would. I mean, hey, the fighters, they don't agree on things. Claressa going to talk his shit. It come with the territory. But once you saw Shadasia fall off the stool and collapse, well, that's when, you know, I expected more from Claressa. But at this moment, I expect nothing from her. Nothing. And I know people talk about, you're the one content creator. You don't call her names. You don't attack her. You're fair to her. For you to take this position, now, I'm still not going to cuss and carry on. I think that shit's crazy to be like that towards these females. But, you know, we can have conversations, you know what I'm saying? But I tell you what, I don't have any hope for her. I'm just being honest with you. I don't have any hope for her. Because I just think if she can do that to Shadasia, someone who they came together and decided, show love to each other and how women do it, black women do it, and kind of rekindle that friendship to come out here as first got an opportunity, boy. Woman collapse in the ring and then kick her while she's down and just not give a shit. So I've given up. You know what I'm saying? And that's why that tension continues to build. So you start talking about the legacy. Yeah, Claressa, man, I mean, what is her legacy? What is she going to be known for? 2 gold medals, winning championships, or being a saboteur? Like I'm asking her, what is she going to be known for? Because I've said it before, I'm going to say it again. Legacy isn't just titles, undefeated streaks, historic achievements. It also has a lot to do with how peers are treated, how she treats her peers, how moments are handled. How does she handle moments? How fans feel about you. How do most fans feel about her? So we talk about legacy. She just talks a lot about her achievements, her being undefeated, and her titles and stuff. But she doesn't talk about the other half of legacy, which is the other half where she's losing terribly. You know what I'm saying? Terribly. But it all feeds into that narrative and it builds momentum. Here's the reality of public perception. Once people start to feel this person is always negative or this person tears down others, they begin to interpret future actions through that lens, reinforce their existing opinion. That's how reputation becomes sticky. Claressa has a sticky reputation, man. But she did it to herself. I just want to say this. Elite athletes, they don't have it easy. It's difficult, and I understand that. There's like an inner world of greatness there, and try to understand outward behavior. I think you got to understand the inward pressure, because I understand the pressure that all these fighters deal with, But after doing some research, elite fighters often deal with constant comparison, which is true. Pressure to stay dominant, which is true. Feeling underappreciated despite achievements, which is true. I heard Crawford talk about it a lot. Mayweather talked about it. But even someone at Claressa Shields' level, maybe she feels not fully recognized, misunderstood by fans and media, and that's why she's always out here just so crocodilish, you know what I'm saying? But I'll tell you what, pressure can show up as intensity. That pressure that she's feeling can come out as defensiveness, which is what she's always showing. Hyper-competitiveness, which is something she's always showing. Strong reactions to perceived disrespect, which is something she's always showing. So sometimes it's not about the immediate situation, it's about accumulated frustration, which is what I think Claressa Shields is dealing with. Accumulated frustration, and that's why when she gets a chance to discharge that, it just comes out. I mean, you talk about hollow points at any and everyone, even at children. But she's created her own misery and created her own frustrations. You know what I'm saying? I didn't do it. This person over here didn't do it. She did it to herself. No accountability for that attitude. Modern athletes don't exist in a vacuum. We all get that. They intersect with entertainment, social media, music culture. You think about the music culture. When you think about Claressa and music culture, what 2 people do you think about? You think about Papoose Pat. You think about Remy Ma. Represent how quickly narratives can cross industries and amplify attention. How much attention has been on Claressa in the last week and a half since Remy Ma dropped that diss track? So much attention to where people are saying Claressa went and bought a 2-door vehicle and got, what they say, got some boots, some shoe porn. Now, you know me, I'm from the old school, and I don't be on the internet like that. So I don't listen to I listen to my diss. The lyrics. I just hear shit. Like I don't care. But I heard okay, it's good, it's witty, but I didn't think nothing of it. But the ladies, they listen to that shit And they're like, oh, Claressa went and bought the shoes. She wants shoe porn. She bought a two-door coupe. See, that's what they said. Because Remy talked about being in a two-door coupe with shoe porn. And I'm like, I'll tell you, I see what the ladies are talking about. I'll just leave it as that, because when they say it, the timing does seem a little weird, doesn't it? A bit peculiar. You know what I'm saying? I'm just being real with you. But even indirect associations, the timing overlaps with people like, Remy and the beef and all that. It just adds fuel to public speculation. That's why people are looking at what Claressa's doing and feel that she's responding to Remy, because she can't do it lyrically, you know what I'm saying? And there's a lot of emotional intensity around the situation. Because lyrically, we know she can't. She is no in the world she gonna come out here and start rapping, being Rissa the Goat, and go and clash with Remy. You know what I'm saying? But I think Claressa is too late now. But I think there was a point in time where she could have got control of her situation. If she had shown some accountability back then. See, the accountability factor is a key player in all this. In my opinion, from what I see online, because I don't know Claressa, I think the accountability factor it's something she just pushed aside. She doesn't want to take accountability for anything. Everything she says, well, I understand. If she would say, you know what, well, you're right. I did say that, but I did this. However, sure, that being said, albeit, everything is a goddamn transition to justify or explain herself or to take the blame. No, just, I did it. I was wrong. Stop right there. No excuse. I effed up. And then shut up. That's all you got to do. But not everybody can do that. You know what I'm saying? That's because at the highest level, the accountability factor is a trait that separates respected champions, respected people from controversial ones. It's called self-awareness, man. You got to have that about you. That's why when I'm out here talking to people like, well, go ahead and admit it, so-and-so, I'm like, admit what? You admit it. I got self-awareness, you know what I'm saying? I know if I'm wrong, or you know what I'm saying? I don't have no problem, you know what I mean? Not saying I'm wrong, especially. I recognize where I could go that direction where there's certain things I just won't do. Because I have awareness. I know how my ass can be. So there's certain things I just don't do. Because I know. We all should have that. You know how you're going to react to certain things. So you don't go there. But I tell you what, man. There are questions that define long-term perception. Can you acknowledge when you did something that didn't land well? Can you adjust without losing your edge? Can you compete fiercely without alienating people unnecessarily? Claressa can't do those things. She needs to learn how to do that. But anyway, what we're really watching is not just a moment. It's a case study. I've been saying that. When it comes to leadership in sports, emotional intelligence under pressure, the balance between dominance and respect. Because in the end, you can be the best fighter in the world and still be questioned for how you carry that greatness. And that's Claressa Shields. She is in a trash talk trap. That's what she's walked herself into, and she doesn't know how to get out of it. You know what I'm saying? Every single time she's on the internet is a trash talk trap that she gets caught in. But that's on her. So again, when it comes to Claressa, I don't think the situation is about labeling someone as good or bad. I think for me it's about recognizing the power of words and high visibility moments. What happened to Shadasia in that ring? Look, we all agree. If Shadasia were to lose, people would talk shit. If Claressa were to lose, people would talk shit. If Claressa would have collapsed on a stool and ended up on a stretcher, I think a lot of people would have talked shit about her. I do. Everyone knows that ain't my style. You know what I'm saying? They know Hood, that ain't Hood style, because Hood got a full video interview with her, and this man ain't released the shit because he saw how negative it was, so he pulled it, and I'm ready to. He feels a kind of way about that because I didn't understand, like, what the fuck? Internet's crazy. But I do know people would have a field day with that. But you know why? You know why it's unfair to Shadasia? Because Shadasia try to insult and divide and tempt people and provoke people like Claressa. Shadasia cool as a fan. Clarissa's the one out here talking about punching people in the mouth and standing on business, and any woman could beat me $100,000, I'll give you. She's the one out here, man, talking crazy, talking violence, want to be Al Capone. So if something happened to her in that ring, yeah, people would celebrate. I think there are some who have the wherewithal to say, you know what, I don't like her, but it looks like something serious. But I'll tell you, yeah, she's right. If that would have happened to her, hell yeah, a lot of people would have been celebrating. You know why? Because they don't like you. And because you're out here insulting people and offending people all the time. So, you know, there's some people, they just don't have, their heart ain't made up to give a shit about you no more. But you did that. You know what I'm saying? You did that shit. Nobody else did it to you. Take some accountability. But I'll tell you what, if you would have handled that Shadasia Green situation better, I think things would have been different. But hey, that's just my opinion. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, man, power of words and high visibility moments. She dropped the ball. The responsibility that comes with influence. You know, she dropped the ball. And how quickly perception can shift, I don't think she realized it. But moments like this don't define a career. But they definitely add chapters to the story people remember. When it comes to Claressa Shields, man, you know, what are people going to remember about her? I think she needs to clean things up, man. But at the same time, I just think too much damage has been done. That's just my opinion. She ain't had to be that way with Shadasia. And she definitely shouldn't have been on here doing a video talking about praying for her, but then cussing.
I'm praying for Shadasia. And I'm glad that none of the girls got hurt really bad tonight. Everybody can go back home to their families. Absolutely. Absolutely. I ain't that. Like, I ain't like that. But I'm just telling y'all, there's levels to the shit. And stop saying that women and these girls is on my motherfucking level when they ain't. Alright, I'm motherfuckers talking about Shadasia can knock me out. She got knocked out by a girl who I literally destroyed. This girl thought she was getting jumped inside the ring when she was fighting me. Lonnie said she thought she was getting jumped when we was fighting. She said she didn't know where my punches was coming from. She didn't know where they were coming from. I was kicking that ass. And had my shoulders not been how they was messed up. But now we sitting here trying to give motherfuckers a pass. Mm-hmm.